Okay. Hi there, and thanks for joining me today. And I just finished writing a little bit about introspection, and I wanted to talk about my belief, and it's a strong belief, that introspection and awareness are absolute keys to solving so many of our problems, both our problems as individuals, as well as our problems that we see in society and culture at large. And the reason is because our social problems are generated through individuals acting en masse, right, as a group, which take these seemingly personal issues and obstacles and obsessions and compulsions and addictions and pathologies that we all struggle with, and projects them and magnifies them onto the world, onto the world arena. And it's our personal character flaws and dysfunctional behaviors that synergize and resonate with those around us, as well as clash and conflict with others, that cause so much of the strife and chaos that we see in the world. That sense of angst that we're so familiar with. And since these dysfunctions are happening at the most fundamental level of our society, namely inside each of us individually, that is the only place where a solution is likely to be found. And so it's by looking inside of ourselves and finding solutions to our own most basic dysfunctions and pathologies that we will find hope for our world. And it's this exploration and responsibility to ourselves that I believe is the most worthwhile thing that any of us can do to help make our world a better place. And this is not selfish. Our own self improvement will inherently help serve the greater good of our world. And it's also no small task. Introspection may be the solution, but this solution is perhaps one of the hardest things that we as humans are called to learn. So I think the first thing that we need to understand is that introspection is not the same thing as thinking. Most thinking is simply an imagining of external events, past or future, or an intellectualization of ideas as they relate to an external construct, even if that external construct is ourselves. For example, thinking about a psychological idea, like thinking about our depression, thinking about our tendency to not like people or be misanthropic, or our anxiety. Thinking about that is not necessarily the same thing as considering how that psychological idea relates to and informs my own actions in the world, and really grappling with that question of why am I like this, which we'll talk about in a second here. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of awareness practices such as meditation and prayer. When people say, well, I'm always thinking about stuff. And this is not introspection. This is thinking about stuff, thinking about things that are out there outside of ourselves. Introspection is thinking about things inside of ourselves, the consideration of our feelings, our sensations, our motivations, our beliefs, our ideas. It's not thinking and considering what we did or what we intend to do. These are external actions. And it's absolutely not thinking about what somebody else did. It's also not considering how we will do these things. So like a strategization. That's not really introspection either. But rather, introspection is considering why we did them or why we want to do them. And this is an entirely different question, and one that immediately requires an account of us, of me, myself, the I who only I can truly know. And this type of process is introspection. And a definition could be that introspection is the process of mental awareness that depicts and defines our identity, our beliefs, our worldview, as well as how these components all come together to motivate our actions and the externalization of those beliefs, worldview, and our identity. In simpler terms, introspection is simply the process of learning about ourselves through asking why. Why do I believe that? Why do I feel like that? Why am I mad? Why am I upset by that? Why does that person bother me? And this process has a prerequisite, and that prerequisite is awareness. And it's actually within the definition that awareness is needed for introspection to exist. And it's a skill that can be taught and cultivated, though it's a skill that most of us do not utilize often enough in our everyday life to actually make it useful. And that skill that I'm talking about is awareness. The process of introspection inherently requires a certain level of awareness. It is impossible to consider the underlying motivations behind thoughts, actions, emotions, compulsions, or other experiences without first being aware that they exist. And on the surface, it's easy to pretend that we are aware of what we're doing. However, we ask ourselves, how many times have we fallen into a pattern of arguing or conflict with another person without ever even realizing that we were becoming agitated in the first place, right? Like without any warning whatsoever. And how often did that argument or that conflict continue for an amount of time that if we were aware of it happening, we would have never allowed it to go on for that long. And this thought experiment can be conducted in all sorts of different scenarios. Like, how often do we find ourselves thinking about things that cause us suffering, thinking about interactions with other people or events that have happened to us kind of over and over again, and knowing that whenever we think about these things, we don't really feel good, but we're not really aware that that's the cause of us feeling agitated or crabby. We're not aware of our altered relationships with other people, maybe when we are thinking about these things as we're driving home from work, let's say. And so, right, that would be an example of not having, not cultivating that skill or not utilizing that skill in these different contexts. So being aware or being able to be aware of our own thinking and emotional state and behaviors and how these aspects of ourselves interact with the world around us, including how other people, including how it interacts with other people who are all having their own experiences as well. This is the type of awareness that allows us to begin to be truly introspective. So, both awareness and introspection are so similar that it's difficult to talk about one without almost immediately considering the other. They're kind of like, two sides of the same coin. And like I said, these are tools that can they're skills that can be cultivated. And there's an incredibly simple tool which all by itself can help anyone begin to build these skills in their life. And it's a tool which requires zero money to utilize, and it's been scientifically researched to be one of the absolute most beneficial tools for depression, anxiety, as well as just creating a greater sense of well-being in your life. And the tool I'm talking about is meditation. Meditation is the practice of becoming mindful of the present moment. It's the simplest of simple tools, and yet it's one of the most painstakingly difficult practices for individuals to adhere to. And meditation deserves its own entire article, and so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here, but I will say that meditation is a mandatory practice for individuals who want to build a greater sense of awareness and introspection in their lives. And there are many excuses I've heard over the years of why people can't or don't meditate, and all of that is absolutely fine. However, if you do not have a high level of awareness and introspective capability, I consider meditation one of the only ways to actually build that skill level in your life. And I was recently introduced to an amazing meditation app, like no other meditation app that I've been exposed to, developed by Sam Harris, the intellectual thinker, called Waking Up. And it's an app that is not simply a meditation timer or a list of recorded guided meditations. It's really a tutorial that walks individuals through the most basic understanding of meditation in a very slow, easy, very accessible manner. Sam Harris's audio during the clips is just amazing. He has such a wonderful ability to convey the ideas and the theory, as well as a really great tempo and rhythm in delivering the guided meditations that he does. It's called Waking Up. It's an app. I think they have a free 7-day trial that'll give you all of access to the components of it. I'll link to it below, but if you're not familiar with meditation or hesitant or questioning what exactly it is, in the 7 days that the free trial allows, you will get an excellent bare bones foundational understanding of not only what meditation is, but you'll become grounded enough in it to understand its benefit and power in your life. So I don't get paid by Sam Harris or Waking Up at all, but if you're interested, I'm going to put the link in the comments or whatever below. And I hope that you all have an absolutely amazing day, and we'll see you later.